We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Nick here. Nick is agonizing over the size and layout of his basement home theater. Dude, we have totally seen this room before, right?
We
this
have
is not,
indeed.
Okay, because I'm looking at this picture, and I'm like, I've seen this
familiar. Yes, you reckon.
He knows for certain that he wants a dedicated soundproofed room with 2 or 4 subwoofers, seating for his entire family of 4, plus some extra room for when they have guests, and a primary viewing distance of 1 screen width, since he likes a really big field of view. The basement has somewhat low ceilings and a support pole in an inconvenient location. Dude, I bet we answered this with Liz at one point. I feel like Liz was part of this.
I don't think it was quite for that far back, but
it feels
I mean,
that way.
he had a nearly finalized plan, which we'll be showing in a moment, but he's rethinking things.
All right. At present, he has his seats in front of that support pole, and the ceiling on that side of the pole is 7 feet 2 inches. And the ceiling on the other side of the support pole drops down to 6 feet 10 inches,
which is the minimum that's allowed.
Okay. So I guess we're probably seeing a picture here. I could probably like
of the way things are right now.
Okay, so his first idea is to construct one wall along with his presently the right-hand side of his theater and install doors to the stairway and remainder of his basement. This would create a room that is roughly 18.5 feet wide by 19.5 feet long. It would provide plenty of room for seating, but the support pole would be sort of in the middle of the room, and the ceiling would remain higher in the front and lower in the back, and the dimensions would be nearly square.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it. I see what he's doing here.
Yes.
I see it. All right. So that's one idea. All right. So how much of a concern that support pole really, when it comes to disrupting sound waves, is about 3.5 inches in diameter? Should you wrap it in 4-inch thick absorption material? 0. It's going to make very little. I mean, not 0, but it's not going to make a whole big bunch of difference.
Yeah, no, 3.5 inches in diameter, right? So anything below 4,000 hertz is wrapping right around it like it ain't even there.
Yeah.
4,000 hertz and up technically could reflect off of it. Maybe you don't want a completely hard surface. I'm like, you put a little bit of cotton batting around it just to dress it up, because I don't want a bare metal pole in the middle of my room either. I'd like to dress it up a little bit. So a little bit of cotton batting, a little bit of fabric around that, which makes it barely any thicker than what it is. Maybe it's 6 inches in diameter total now. That's all you need, because you aren't worried about anything below 4,000 hertz, which is well into treble. It's not mid-range, that's treble. So that pole is really not much of a concern. It's not a nothing, and certainly physically, because it demands where your seats have to go.
Yeah.
But,
it's certainly a concern for seating. For audio, I would not really even worry about this at all, to be honest with you.
I would just dress it up aesthetically.
I would do it because I might run into it at some point. I'd put something soft on it so that if I ran into it, it didn't hurt myself.
But I wouldn't put 4-inch thick absorption material all around it, because now it's become a big honking pole.
now it's very large.
Yeah.
Though, I mean, technically it's kind of like a bass strap, I guess, but it's not really. All right, so what problems would be created by the nearly square dimensions, and how well would these problems be addressed by multiple subwoofers, acoustic treatments, and room EQ? Well, it's not. It's square, but it's not cube. So it's not optimal, but it's
really not that bad though. It isn't actually square.
No, it's close to square. I mean, but it's like a foot difference, right? Is it 19.5 and 18.5? Yep. I wouldn't. If you're going to put 2 subs in opposing corners, I think you'll be okay. If you're going to put 4 subs, I think you'll really be okay.
Yeah, you can't really do diagonally opposite corners, because there would be doors in both of the rear corners. But he could do middle of the front, middle of the back. He could do 4 subs in the ideal cross pattern: middle of the front, middle of the back, middle of the left, middle of the right. So that all of that is doable.
I honestly wouldn't
in this larger
worry
room,
one bit about the dimensions of the room. So he asked, what about air circulation? Is this room large enough that he won't have to tie into his HVAC system at all? Could he close all the doors and watch a 2-hour movie with his whole family without the air getting stuffy? Maybe just open the doors when the theater is not used to allow air to circulate. Dude, you want some air to circulate into this room.
Air needs to move.
That projector is going to get hot, and all those people breathing, it's going to become unbearable faster than you can possibly imagine.
And he is talking double drywall, green glue
Yeah,
type
yeah,
of
yeah,
wall.
yeah.
So that means the doors are going to be sealed.
Yeah.
They're going to be sealed type doors. You need to circulate the air.
Yes.
18.5 by 19.5 with a 7-foot ceiling, average. That is not big enough that you can be in there without any air movement. You gotta circulate the air.
It's going to warm up there.
It can be an air exchange,
right?
But there's got to be some way to get air in and out of that room.
His other idea that he had nearly settled on, but then had second thoughts, is to construct 2 walls to create a smaller theater. The support pole could then be embedded inside one of the new walls, and the ceiling would be one height within the theater this way. But he's very concerned that it doesn't leave adequate room for all the seating he wants, plus all of the AV equipment would still be in the closet. But now that closet would be outside the theater and inaccessible unless he opens the theater door and walks to the closet. Okay, I'm going to address the last part of that question first. The number of times you're going to want to go to that closet is while something's happening in the theater that you getting up and leaving is going to distract from, not like changing a disc, which is doesn't make any difference where it is. Negligible. To me, I don't see that being much of an issue. This is a perfectly serviceable home theater here. It's smaller.
Yes.
Which is not a huge problem. I am kind of the opinion that you should just go with the bigger one. It'll certainly give you a lot more room for your guests. It'll also make it easier to place your speakers and get all the speakers that you want in there. This is perfectly fine as well.
So I had a different thought, which is that, so first of all, very often when people are planning their theater, they are considering the maximum number of people that they're ever going to have in there, and they make their plans based on that. And in my opinion, that's folly.
Yeah,
because the number of times that actually happens in real life is far fewer than what you're thinking of in your mind when you're first planning it. Plan the theater for what you are genuinely going to use on a day-to-day basis. If you need to accommodate more people, even the smaller theater definitely can. You could have 1 row of 2 seats in front and 3 seats in back, and that back row could be very close to the back wall because you're not going to be sitting in it, and believe me, no one cares as much as you do. This could be very serviceable in a smaller room, but I do like the idea of a slightly larger room, and I think there's actually a way to play this in between, because one of the reasons I don't particularly like the larger room setup as it's drawn this way is that anyone who wants to get to the bedroom or the rest of the basement comes down the stairwell, opens a door into your theater, walks through your theater to the other door to get to the rest of the basement. If this is a soundproof room where you're trying to keep the sound in and the sound out, every time someone else wants to get to the rest of the basement, they're opening doors and disturbing the theater. I'm like, no, what I would do if you want a larger room, than the small one that you have in the plans, is move what is currently in the plans for the smaller room, what is the left wall, move that down so that the smaller room would be wider. Right? Now, yes, that would expose the support beam. The support beam would be to your left. But you move that down, now you could have access to the equipment closet if you want to. You would have a wider room, and you'd still have a hallway from the stairwell to the rest of the basement. You could have one entrance to your theater. You could do an air exchange between the theater and the bedroom next door. And you don't have to have someone traipsing through your theater every time they want to get to the rest of the basement. So I'm kind of splitting the difference.
All right, because you've cropped these pictures, I'm having a hard time.
Well,
seeing
that's
this.
what he sent. I didn't crop them all the way, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Because the stairway to the ground floor is really weird. So I'm trying to figure out where so you enter.
Bottom left is the bottom of the stairs. They go up to the right in the image.
Really? That's dumb. I'm not saying that he's dumb. I'm saying that. So you absolutely have to go through the whole home theater. Yeah.
In that plan, yeah. And like plan. Instead, just have it be a hallway. There's a door. Yeah. There's a wall that you construct that becomes the left wall of your theater. Now you have a wider theater. That means you can accommodate more seats if you want to, which I think in his case makes a lot of sense. Plus, he wanted that access to the closet. Now the closet is inside your theater instead of outside your theater. It all kind of works.
I have a five people in my family. Okay, and then we have a group of friends, and their family's 4, and they're over at least once a week, or we're over their house at least once a week. It's very rare that way. We went on vacation with them, so the whole time we were on vacation, we were with them. The number of times I've had more than 3 people in my home theater,
Right.
is fairly negligible. Like my 12-year-old, 13-year-old son does not want to watch anything after we express an interest in watching it. So, it's if we say we want to watch it, he don't want to watch it. Oh, I don't like that movie. I'm like, you've never seen it. Shut up. Just come sit and watch it. I don't want to. And leaves. Okay. So now we're down to 4. Very rarely do I have. And then when I have friends over, very rarely do I have people who are like all 9 of us are trying to fit in here. You need one main row of seats that accommodates the main people in your family. And then literally every other seat can be put wherever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No one cares. Can they see the Can they see the screen? That's all they care about. If they can see it and they can hear the voices coming out of it, they'll be happy, because they're not going to care anything about Atmos or any of this.
If you look at the smaller room plan, if you went with my idea of expanding it to the left, now you could have your 4 seats in the primary row. You'd have a decent amount of space to the right. You'd have 3 feet to the left on the other side of the pole. So the left side of the seats can be up against the pole. That's fine. And then you'd still have a 3-foot walkway with the closet in the rear left corner. To me, that plan works out. Regardless of what room setup you go for, though, you need air to circulate. Whether that's tying into existing HVAC, doing a dead vent that goes into the bedroom, or just a passive air exchange might also be fine.
All right, so he asked, is this smaller room better plan than the larger room? I don't. First of all, I mean, you could do whatever you want. I think Rob's plan sounds pretty good. I don't like the idea. I mean, your other room is fine. It's just people will be walking through the home theater every time they come down the stairs. Now, if you say that's never going to happen because nobody's ever going to come down the stairs unless they're going to the theater or going to bed, and those two things will never happen at the same time, you may very well be true. But you're going to have to sell this place someday, and people are going to think it's weird that you got to walk through one room to get to a bunch of other rooms. So I would recommend at least having a hallway there. So, one other proposal by Rob is basically to build the smaller room but expand its width. Okay, is that what we just talked about?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. But he has some other questions about that.
So. All right. He's very concerned about the disruption to the mid-range and treble sound waves, so he wants to know exactly what you need to do to eliminate it as an acoustical problem. This also means
really not a problem with that pole.
No, that pole is not a problem. This would also mean that the ceiling is uneven from left to right now instead of front to back. Could this disrupt his ceiling Atmos speakers? Would it make multiple subwoofers less affected due to asymmetry? No and no. How about that?
So it's 4-inch difference in height.
Dude, seriously.
It's really not going to affect the bass. Definitely not going to affect the bass.
No.
For the in-ceiling Atmos speakers, I mean, is there if it's butted right up against that 4-inch lip?
Oh, okay, fine. If it's right on the 4-inch lip, but the difference in they're supposed to be diffuse.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be really all that localizable. That's the whole idea. Having a little bit difference in height is not going to make any difference. You leaning from one side, leaning on the arm of your chair is going to make more of a difference than having that speaker be 4 inches higher. You lying down on the couch instead of sitting up, or you reclining on the couch is going to make more of a difference. So unless you're going to put your head in the
what
vice.
I completely understand, he's like, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it really right, and I want it absolutely optimized as much as humanly possible.
Yes.
But you can, this is one of those cases where perfection is the enemy of greatness.
Yeah.
Right? So you can have a great home theater that you're going to worry to death because you're trying to get a perfect home theater, and there's really no such thing.
No such thing.
So don't completely overthink this to the point that you're psyching yourself out.
Yeah. And I would also start with 2 subs.
Lip are not big enough to worry about.
I know that you're going to go 4 subs, but yeah. I would start with 2. Yeah. I think you're probably going to be fine. I don't think you're going to need 4 subs. I mean, even with the squarish room that you were talking about, I still don't think you're going to need 4 subs. Would 4 subs technically perform better than 2 subs? Probably, but audibly, I don't know the difference is going to be that big of a deal to you.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like, how often are you, Nick, going to be actually sitting in every single seat in your theater? Because the 4 subs will get you even more uniform bass in every single seat, but nobody cares anywhere as much as you, and you're probably going to have your favorite seat that you sit in the vast majority of the time, and 2 subs can make that seat sound fantastic.
Yeah, that seat and everywhere else you might decide you want to sit. And like I said, you're going to be in there sometimes. You're going to recline. You're going to lie down. You're going to do something, maybe sit in a different seat for one reason or another. And you will know that the bass is even or because of that. No one else is going to care. So, I mean, if you're really concerned about this 4-inch difference, you could build a false, drop ceiling, basically a false ceiling that's 4 inches down level with everything else, and then you can mount the speakers to that, and then just fill that entire thing up with insulation up there, and you got one big, ginormous 4-inch thick bass trap. You could do that. I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible idea. I don't know that's necessary. Audibly, as far as the speakers are concerned, I certainly don't think it's necessary. But it'd be nice to have a humongous bass trap. But now your ceiling is 4 inches.
The whole ceiling is 6'10". Yeah, that's pretty low.
Yeah, the whole ceiling becomes very, very short. So I don't know. I'd say put the speakers up there and not worry about it. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.